Australians are obsessed with real estate. And I want to unpack how you can create a portfolio that gives you more choices without having an unhealthy obsession in terms of Australian real estate. Now, many people who I talk to know that I've talked about real estate for the last decade, and it does come up in general conversation. And that's why I made a career and switched from being a chartered accountant to a buyer's agent, because I had such interest in property and how it could give you choices by building an asset base over time. And I think this is why so many Australians are obsessed with real estate, is because it is one of the strongest performing assets when you add in leverage comparing to stocks or even starting your own business. And we hear complaints about this online all the time. Australians aren't like the US. We're not creative. We don't have many businesses coming out of Australia because we're so obsessed with real estate. But you've got to look at the system that we live in. How is our government structured? And where is the money flowing that's being printed in Australia's economy? It's ending up back in assets. Yes, business owners make lots of money, and there's lots of successful businesses out there. But the statistics will show you that you're far more likely to go bankrupt as a business owner than you are as a real estate investor. Given that real estate grows consistently over a long period of time, banks are willing to lend a high amount of leverage, 80, even up to 90, 95% on assets in real estate. But when you go to ask for a business loan, they ask for a full case study and would barely even give you 50% of your performance expectations in terms of lending capacity. And so the reality is the banking system, the government, and all of the fees that are claimed from real estate, we're talking stamp duty, transaction fees, legal fees, banking fees, all the fees associated around real estate drive money into property here in Australia. Now, that's not the case essentially in Europe as much, or the UK or the US, because they're larger and more diverse economies. But given we're largely a resource-based country, land for the everyday Australian, and i.e. housing, has become the talk of the town at family barbecues. And probably when you were having a chat over Christmas and New Year's watching the cricket, you may have chatted with your unk, about real estate and saving for your first home and how expensive it is. But I think we have to understand that the money printing is only going to continue to flow into our economy. And if the government keeps our immigration program at 500,000 people a year, and we see Brisbane, for example, grow from 3 million to 4 million people, that's where the supply and demand metrics don't align and prices will continue to rise. So it's all well and good for me to say that we have a probably unhealthy obsession when it comes to real estate, but how can you create a healthy understanding of property and how can you get it to work in your favor? This is why we're seeing the rent vesting strategy come up more and more for everyday Aussies. You can rent where you want to live and buy investments where they make sense, and you're going to get all the tax deductions for being a property investor. I'm essentially that at this point in time as well. I've become a rent investor after moving out of the family home that Emily and I finished building in 2024. Unfortunately, with Emily passing from ovarian cancer at 28 years old, I'm currently 31 years old, and me and my boys have moved south into Logan to be closer to Em's mum and auntie and the rest of our family. Now, because of that circumstance, I've kept the family home rather than selling it, and I've downsized. I'm renting a much smaller house, a 3-bedroom, 1-bathroom property, and the reality is that the debt that was on my family home then becomes tax deductible, and I'm able to sell it in 6 years' time, or up to 6 years' time, using the 6-year CGT rule or capital gains tax rule, tax-free. And so this is what I think a lot of young Australians should do moving forward. Instead of going out there and buying your first home and living in it for 3, 4, 5 years, you could use the government schemes and grants and concessions and get that 5% deposit, go out there and buy your first home, but after 12 months, move back in with the family or move back into a share house or move in with your mates and get some cheaper rent and rent out that first home that you bought. Any debt attached to your first home is then going to become tax deductible, and you get that capital gains tax exemption if you sell that property with up to a 6-year timeline. And if you move back in and move back out again, it resets that timeline. So there's a lot of nuance there, but this is why we're seeing so many young Australians move to a rent vesting strategy. And in my opinion, you don't need a $10 million plus portfolio. I'm seeing these guys talk about $60 million, $100 million portfolios. The guys that have these $50, $60, $70 million plus portfolios run large businesses. That's the honest truth. They'll have $1 million net incomes, plus, multiple millions, to service and to essentially get access to the debt to create a portfolio of that size. Now that is unrealistic for everyday mums and dads, everyday Australians, everyday young Australians who want to create some more choices in their life. In my opinion, to create some more choices, you generally need between 2 to 4 houses, which is a portfolio of $2 to $4 million. Now that's a lot of money still, 2 million or even $3-4 million is a lot of money in terms of assets, but it is achievable over a 5, 6, 10 year timeline. If you buy your first property for $550K, get your foot in the door, which we can help you do at that price point, you can buy a freestanding house on 550 to 650 square meters with compound and growth potential. You could then look to do some value add projects like a renovation to spruce up that property and fast track your equity creation. In my opinion, once you're building that portfolio out, you should buy a house, as many houses as you can afford. Say you could only afford to buy one $550K house, and then you could afford to buy an $800,000 house. That will give you a portfolio of around $1.3 million. Now, if you get 10% growth on that asset base, say over a year or a year and a half, that means that 1.3 is going to grow to $1.43 million, so $130,000 of growth. That's money that you don't have to pay tax on until you sell, and it's money that could be more than your day job income, which was certainly the case for me when Emily and I were in our mid-20s and we were building our property portfolio. And that's the reason we were able to create so much momentum, was about adding value to assets, buying the right assets in terms of growth potential, and holding them for the long term. So ideally taking that 7-year time horizon. So I think young Australians and families should focus on where they're at. What can you afford right now? Is it a $600K house or is it a $900K house? Those are definitely good price points to target with upside potential. And then you need to continue to build from there. So if you get stuck and you can no longer buy another house, that's when you go back to house 1 and 2 and potentially look to add a granny flat to neutralize your cash flows and get more yield, and then go back to the banks with greater serviceability. And so you're going for capital growth first. So you're buying the assets and going for capital growth first, and then you're going for cash flow second. Now, you don't need to create an obsession and look at this every day. That's what I found when I was investing in stocks and shares, is that I would look at the prices, or even Bitcoin. I've never invested in Bitcoin. I just don't like that asset class personally. I much prefer real estate that I can look and see and feel and get access to leverage from Australians' banks to hold a larger property portfolio. And so I was looking at stocks when I had them every day. Whereas with property, you can buy these 1, 2, 3, 4 assets and set and forget them, and then come back and make plans to do a build, but that might take 12 months to do your plans and then 12 months to execute the build, which is exactly what I've done on my latest 2, 3, 4 projects, is give myself time and breathing room to execute on these strategies. And it means you're not obsessing. You don't have to talk every day, every week at the barbecue, unless you want to, unless you're passionate about it. But your spouse, I know Emily used to say this to me, she's like, I'm so glad you work in real estate, Luke, and that we run a buyer's agency, because that means we don't have to talk about property in our time off. We can focus on the kids, we can focus on sport, we can focus on church and family and spending time together, and passion projects like my Unbound podcast. And so I think the idea of investing in real estate is not for it to become an Australian obsession. It's about getting that asset base behind you to then give you more choices. The really exciting thing, and this is hopefully the biggest takeaway from today's video, the really exciting thing is, even if you haven't paid off the debt on your property portfolio, once you acquire those assets you need to acquire, 2, 3, 4 houses, and you've got your plans in place to build a couple of secondary dwellings on those, each house and granny flat is going to generate $50,000 of income in retirement once the debt's paid off. But once you've acquired those assets you want to acquire, that's when you can actually make lifestyle changes. And it might take you 3, 4, 5 years to go through that acquisition phase. And then it could be 10, 15 years of consolidation. But the reality is you could go to 4 days a week at work once you've acquired the assets you need to acquire, because you no longer need to go back to the bank and say, please, sir, can I have more debt? Can I have more money to buy more assets? Because you've shifted to the consolidation phase of your portfolio. And that's the really exciting takeaway for me and for everyday Aussies who are looking to just create some more choices and abundance from investing in real estate. It doesn't have to become an obsession. It's just about getting the assets behind you to create that wealth and to get compound growth over time. And so once you've got that asset base purchased, you could then go to 4 days a week or go to part-time. And as long as you can cover your living expenses and the property portfolio is largely neutral because you've added those granny flats, that's where you know over a long period of time, 5, 10, 15 years, the debt will be inflated away as the assets values grow, the rent will grow over time, and in retirement, you'll have enough passive income to live off. And so property doesn't need to become an obsession. It just needs to be strategic and calculated decisions to get you where you want to go. And if you want help and you want to discuss your personal strategy around buying and you're looking to buy in Southeast Queensland or the Greater Melbourne market in the next 3 to 6 months, head over to purposeproperty.com.au to book in a free chat with myself. We've got 11 staff and we have a boots on the ground team in Southeast Queensland and in Victoria where we can help you find and secure the right property for the right price in the right location. I'm really excited about the deals we've seen already executed into 2026, and I can't wait to help everyday Aussies make a plan and execute on it this year. So head over to purposeproperty.com.au for that. And if you get value out of this free content, drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and give this video a click right here, because YouTube thinks that's the one you should watch next. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.